Profound shift is underway in Southeast Asia. The United States and the Philippines have finalized a landmark agreement that will reshape their relationship for decades. Signed in July 2025 by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., this energy and trade pact is more than an economic arrangement. It's a strategic realignment with major consequences for the Indo-Pacific. The pact, called the Agreement on Reciprocal Trade, ART framework, intertwines economic and security interests, modernizing the Philippine energy sector and securing U.S. investment. For the U.S., it's a crucial foothold in a vital region, advancing resilient supply chains with trusted partners. The timing is critical. Tensions in the South China Sea have reached a boiling point, pushing Manila to seek stronger security guarantees. President Marcos Jr. has made it clear, the Philippines needs the U.S. as an indispensable partner. This agreement turns diplomatic rhetoric into concrete action, touching everything from oil and gas to advanced nuclear energy and high-tech manufacturing. The deal is ambitious and controversial, raising questions about sovereignty, economic fairness, and the balance of power in Asia's most contested waters. Its impact will ripple for years, influencing trade, investment, and the security architecture of the region. The ART framework is not a standard trade deal. It grants U.S. companies unprecedented access to key sectors of the Philippine economy. The Philippines eliminates tariffs on major American agricultural exports and sets annual import quotas for U.S. products like soybeans, wheat, and chicken, reshaping its agricultural landscape. The centerpiece is energy. American firms get fast-tracked approval for oil and gas exploration, especially in the contested West Philippine Sea, directly challenging China's claims. U.S. companies also get first rights to build a massive LNG complex in Subic Bay, transforming it into a regional energy hub. The pact extends to critical minerals, nickel, cobalt, copper, giving U.S. firms preferential access and securing vital supply chains for American industry. In return, American exports, especially in tech and agriculture, get zero tariff access to the Philippines. However, the U.S. will impose a new 20% tariff on all Philippine imports, a stark contrast in reciprocity. The agreement also deepens cooperation in civil nuclear energy, paving the way for U.S.-led deployment of small modular reactors across the Philippines. This is a long-term vision for energy independence, with the U.S. as Manila's primary technical and financial partner. The deal intertwines trade, energy, and resource extraction, fundamentally reorienting the Philippine economy toward the U.S. It creates a deep, lasting interdependence between the two allies. Critics say the framework's complexity masks a structural imbalance. But for both nations, the stakes and the potential rewards are enormous. The timing of this pact is driven by urgent strategic needs and geopolitical anxieties. For the Philippines, facing an aggressive China in the West Philippine Sea, the U.S. is a vital ally for both security and economic survival. The deal gives the U.S. a tangible stake in defending Philippine sovereignty, while promising American investment in oil, gas, and nuclear technology to address chronic energy shortages. President Marcos Jr. sees the U.S. as essential for modernization and national development. For Washington, the agreement is a cornerstone of its Indo-Pacific strategy, countering China's expanding influence by embedding U.S. companies in the Philippine economy. The pact secures access to strategic locations like Subic Bay and critical resources, reducing U.S. dependence on Chinese supply chains. The Trump administration's second term has prioritized partnerships with trusted allies to reconfigure global trade. The ART framework aligns with the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, layering economic incentives atop security cooperation. This creates a deeply integrated alliance, designed to withstand 21st-century geopolitical pressures. Both sides see this as a necessary step to secure their futures in a rapidly changing region. At the heart of the U.S.-Philippines Pact is friends-whoring, moving production from rivals like China to allied nations. The goal makes supply chains less vulnerable to political disruptions and trade wars. The Philippines, with its U.S. alliance and skilled workforce, is being positioned as a prime friends-whoring destination. Major U.S. tech firms are eyeing expansion, and the new pact makes the Philippines even more attractive. The agreement aims to create a welcoming environment for American manufacturers, aligning private sector incentives with U.S. strategic goals. This is about rewiring global manufacturing and logistics, creating alternative hubs to reduce dependence on China. The Luzon Economic Corridor, backed by the U.S. and Japan, will connect Subic Bay, Clark, and Manila, forming a seamless ecosystem for relocated investment. However, building new supply chains is complex and costly, and could fragment the global economy into competing blocks. For regional countries, it's both an opportunity and a dilemma. New investment, but pressure to choose sides. The US-Philippines Pact signals Manila's choice, betting its future on a closer alliance with Washington. This move could reshape Asia's economic landscape for years to come. The stakes are high, and the world is watching. The friends-whoring era has begun. The US-Philippines agreement is a direct challenge to China's ambitions in the South China Sea. By fast-tracking US access to oil and gas in contested waters, the pact places American interests at the heart of the dispute. Any Chinese aggression now risks drawing in the US, raising the stakes dramatically. This marks a sharp reversal from the previous administration's China-friendly approach. The Marcos administration is sending a clear message: the era of accommodation is over. Beijing will see this as provocation, likely responding with harsh rhetoric, economic pressure, and possibly more aggressive actions at sea. The agreement turns the West Philippine Sea into a primary arena for US-China competition, with Manila firmly on the American side. The Pact's economic dimensions, friends-whoring and critical minerals, threaten China's role as the world's manufacturing hub. The US-Philippines deal is a foundational move in a larger contest for influence and resources in Asia. The region's balance of power is being redrawn. Despite government praise, many in the Philippines worry the deal favors the US. A leaked memo projects massive US benefits, with little clarity on gains for the Philippines, fueling accusations of a lopsided agreement. Filipino industry groups fear that tariff eliminations and import quotas for US agricultural products will devastate local farmers and manufacturers. Preferential access for US firms to critical minerals and energy projects raises concerns about surrendering control over national resources. Critics warn of a new form of economic dependency, echoing colonial-era patterns. President Marcos Jr. faces the challenge of convincing the public that security and investment outweigh the risks to local industries and autonomy. The debate highlights the Philippines' dilemma, seeking US protection without sacrificing its own interests. The Pact's success will be judged by its real impact on Filipino lives. The stakes are as personal as they are geopolitical. A standout feature of the Pact is deep US-Philippines cooperation on civil nuclear energy. The Philippines is embracing small modular reactors, SMRs, safer, flexible, and quicker to build than traditional nuclear plants. US companies are leading the charge, partnering with Philippine agencies to develop and deploy SMRs. The US government is backing this with financial support and training for Filipino nuclear scientists. For the Philippines, SMRs offer a path to energy independence and stable, clean power, reducing reliance on volatile fossil fuel imports. For the US, it's a strategic win, cementing its role as a key technology partner and keeping rivals out of critical infrastructure. But challenges remain: public skepticism, safety concerns, and the monumental task of building a nuclear regulatory framework. A massive public information campaign will be needed to build trust in nuclear technology. Success could transform the Philippine economy and power millions, but the journey will be long and complex. The nuclear partnership is a bold bet on the future. Every deal has trade-offs, and the US-Philippines Pact is no exception. The Philippines gains a stronger security posture, with US economic interest acting as a deterrent against Chinese aggression. The Pact promises foreign investment, modernized infrastructure, and new jobs, especially through friends-whoring and the Luzon Economic Corridor. Cooperation on nuclear energy could finally solve the country's chronic power crisis. But the concessions are significant. Local industries face fierce competition from US imports, and the country gives up some control over its natural resources. Critics warn of economic dependency and loss of strategic ambiguity as Manila aligns decisively with Washington. The previous strategy of balancing between superpowers is over. The Philippines is now on the front line of a new rivalry. The hope is that security and investment will outweigh the costs, the risk becoming a flashpoint in a larger contest. The Philippines is betting its future on this partnership. The US-Philippines Pact is a geopolitical event that will reshape the South China Sea's strategic landscape. The dispute is no longer just about fishing boats. It's about protecting multi-billion-dollar US investments, backed by American power. China must now weigh the risk of escalation against US interests, raising the stakes for any confrontation. Other Southeast Asian nations are watching closely. If the pact succeeds, it could inspire similar alliances and shift the regional balance. The era of ambiguous alignments is ending, replaced by clear choices and heightened confrontation. The Philippines, with US backing, has drawn a line in the water. The world watches to see if this bold move brings stability or sparks greater conflict. The future of Asia may be decided on these contested waves.